Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something potentially quite significant. It could really change how you think about using Bitcoin, particularly if you're in Missouri. We've got details from a Bitcoin magazine piece from just yesterday, May 13th, 2025. And it seems to lay out a pretty major potential tax shift.
That's right. Yeah, this deep dive is all about Missouri House Bill 594, HB 594. It's legislation that could seriously shake up the tax treatment of Bitcoin spending. And the effects might ripple out beyond just Missouri.
Okay, let's get right into it then. What specifically is Missouri House Bill 594 proposing?
So in simple terms, HB 594 would let Missourians deduct 100% of income they report as a capital gain on their federal taxes.
100%?
Yes, the full amount. Think of it like this. Essentially cancels out that gain for state income tax purposes.
Right. So, paint a picture. Someone in Missouri has some Bitcoin. It's gone up in value. They want to use it. How does this bill change things for them?
Well, the immediate impact is pretty clear and quite substantial. If this passes, a Missouri resident who sells or even just spends their Bitcoin for a gain, they wouldn't pay any state capital gains tax on that profit.
No state tax. Okay. That definitely sounds like a big difference compared to, how things usually work.
It is. It's a significant advantage.
I feel like I heard something similar about Rhode Island. Looking at Bitcoin taxes not too long ago, how does this Missouri bill stack up against that?
Yeah, good point. That's really important context. Rhode Island did introduce a bill, yes. Their idea was letting residents spend up to $10,000 a month in Bitcoin without state capital gains tax.
Okay, $10,000 a month. But there was a catch there, wasn't there?
There was. The big one is that even with the Rhode Island bill, you'd still owe the federal capital gains tax on those profits.
Right. So Rhode Island, state exemption up to a limit, but federal tax still applies. What makes the Missouri approach so different then?
This is where it gets really interesting and potentially much more impactful. HB 594 in Missouri would actually change how a resident calculates their federal adjusted gross income for state purposes.
How so?
The bill itself, the language says, let me get this right, the Missouri adjusted gross income of a resident individual shall be the taxpayer's federal adjusted gross income, subject to the modifications in the bill.
Okay. So it modifies the federal AGI number before calculating Missouri tax.
Effectively, yes, for the purpose of the state return. This could potentially interact with their federal tax situation in ways the Rhode Island bill just wouldn't. It's a deeper change.
Wow. Okay, that does sound more fundamental. So where does this bill stand right now? You said it's House Bill 594?
Correct. As of yesterday, the article confirms it passed the Missouri House of Representatives.
Passed the House. Good step. What happens next?
Now it's on the desk of Governor Mike Kehoe. He's a Republican. It needs his signature to become law.
Is that expected? I mean, is Governor Kehoe likely to sign it?
Well, that's the big question mark. There's definitely some uncertainty. The Bitcoin magazine article highlights a pretty major hurdle. Fiscal estimates suggest this bill, if enacted, could cut state revenue by almost $300 million a year.
$300 million, that's a lot of money for a state budget.
It is, and it comes at a time when, as the governor himself has apparently noted, Missouri's public schools are dealing with underfunding issues. So foregoing that revenue is a serious consideration.
Yeah, you can see the tension there. But it passed the House, so there must be a strong argument for it too, right? What are proponents saying?
Absolutely. The push for it, mainly from other Republicans in Missouri, is that passing HB 594 will actually boost economic growth. They argue it provides needed tax relief for, average Missourians and could make the state more attractive economically. It's that classic dynamic, potential long-term growth versus immediate revenue needs.
Right, the economic stimulus argument versus the budget hole. It feels like these kinds of debates around crypto and taxes are popping up more often nationally. Does this Missouri situation fit into that?
It seems like it, yeah. The article sort of connects these dots. It points out this is happening alongside broader national conversations about tax policy. They even mention President Trump's recent comments on Truth Social.
Oh, what was that?
Suggesting, the idea of eliminating income taxes for people earning under $200,000 per year and maybe using tariffs to replace that revenue.
Okay, so you could see the Missouri bill as part of that larger, maybe anti-income tax sentiment, or at least a search for different tax models.
You could certainly frame it that way, yes.
Yeah.
It reflects a willingness to reconsider how capital gains, specifically from assets like Bitcoin, are taxed.
So taking a step back, if Governor Kehoe does sign this, what's the big picture significance?
If it becomes law, Missouri would be quite historic, actually. It would be the first state with an income tax system to essentially carve out capital gains earnings from the state tax base entirely, at least through this deduction mechanism.
The first state.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. It would instantly make Missouri a very, very attractive place for Bitcoin holders who want to spend or sell without worrying about state taxes on their gains. It would really set it apart.
Okay, let's try to synthesize this for everyone listening. The key takeaway is Missouri is on the cusp, potentially, of allowing tax-free Bitcoin spending at the state level. This is through House Bill 594, which allows a full deduction against federal capital gains when calculating state income tax.
Exactly.
It's passed the state house, but the governor's decision is pending, and it's complicated by a potential $300 million annual revenue hit.
Right. Balanced against arguments that it could spur economic growth.
And all this is happening while there are these broader discussions nationally about income tax and tariffs and, alternative tax structures.
Precisely. It fits into a larger context.
So here's something maybe for you to chew on after this. Imagine if other states start doing things like this, but maybe slightly differently. What happens if Missouri does this? Rhode Island keeps its cap. Maybe another state tries something else entirely. What would that kind of patchwork of state Bitcoin tax rules actually look like? For you as an individual trying to navigate it, or even for the wider economy, it's definitely something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.